If you've been waiting for the right time to buy your first home or start the homeownership journey, this podcast is for you. I'm your sign to start thinking about things when it comes to real estate a little bit differently. Hello, friends and family. My name is Erika Rodriguez, and welcome to my very first real estate podcast. I'm so excited to be here and to be able to provide you guys with a little bit of my knowledge, being in real estate and also being an entrepreneur in the creative industry, and just having history with freelance work and all things that, require yourself to be disciplined enough to get to work and make money every day. I know that for a lot of people in their 20s and 30s are wanting to live a lifestyle, creative lifestyle, the liberating lifestyle that we all want, right? We don't want the 9 to 5 typical job. So we're also very creative people, and there's a lot of opportunities out there for people like us. So this podcast is for you, for my hustlers, for my freelancers, for all of you that are in their 20s and 30s that may think that homeownership is just not realistic for you. Maybe it's because you feel like it's too expensive. Maybe you're just comfortable with the lifestyle that you're living right now with renting. Or maybe you just feel like you're too young and it's just not the right time for you. I'm here to say that all it takes to live the lifestyle that you want to live is a little bit of discipline, educating yourself, and I think real estate could be a really great stepping stone for people like us to be able to attain that lifestyle. What I'm going to be going over in this podcast is going to be our mindset. We're going to be going over some strategies and also some real life data that will help us understand why buying now could actually be a huge benefit for you and for the life that you want to live, and so that you can leverage your creative opportunities through real estate. So we're going to get started with the first topic, which is the creative life versus ownership, because I feel like creative life is a place where people don't feel tied down. Ownership, on the other hand, I feel like a lot of people, especially people like us, I mean, I've been there, we feel like we're going to be tied down and we won't have that much freedom to do the things that we want to do and the things that we're passionate about in whatever which way. So I know, like I said, sometimes homeownership, we feel like it's giving away our freedom. And also sometimes we spend money on things that feel important, like, going on a coffee run and maybe going to dinner, having brunch with your friend, even branding shoots, things that are going to leverage your personal business as well. Those are all things that we're budgeting for. And I feel like if we can budget for all of those things, then we can definitely budget for homeownership. Owning a home is not giving up your freedom. It's actually leveraging your freedom, and it's building your freedom. Okay, so I want you to think of homeownership like watering a seed. You're renting right now, and ultimately you're just watering someone else's seed because you're building their equity. I say this to say that homeownership is building your equity, even if it means that you have to be a little bit more disciplined, and even if it means you have to manage your money a little bit more strict and let go of maybe the coffee runs or the brunches and things like that. Nobody said growing up was going to be easy and becoming a responsible adult would be easy. We know what we know based on the rooms that we put ourselves in. So I think that we should always be giving ourselves the chance and the opportunity to grow by putting ourselves in spaces where we're going to learn about building true equity, investing, its investments, and real estate and stocks and things like that. Those are the things that are going to build your wealth. So I always say, why not give ourselves the chance to learn about real estate so that we can become more aware of how it works. That way we become more motivated to buy real estate and start building that wealth for ourselves. In order to be motivated, you have to learn and you have to understand the process, and then you'll see how attainable it actually is. But first, you have to plant the seed and give yourself that opportunity. Maybe instead of going to brunch one day, take yourself to a first-time homebuyer seminar and just be in that room. Just listen to what people in these fields have to say. That way you can start thinking and processing and generating different questions to ask, because if we don't know anything about the topic, we don't know what to ask, and we ultimately don't know what to do in general or where to even begin. So I will also say the next topic that we're going into has a lot to do with generational shifts and how sometimes we feel the pressure to become homeowners, or we feel the pressure of, not just our parents, but like everyone around us, different generations that are older than us, putting these expectations on us about having our lives together. And having your life together, at least in my case, first generation Mexican American, looks like owning a home. But again, I'm going to remind you, we don't have to have everything together to become a homeowner. There's a very specific way, and it's kind of like a hack to be able to buy your first home, even if you don't have anything together in your life right now. If you can pay your rent, you can definitely pay a mortgage. So let's get real about why it feels hard to buy a home and become a homeowner compared to at least past generations, right? It's not just you that feels this. Honestly, everyone feels this. It's an actual systemic shift. And so if you know me, you know that I'm passionate about systems. I love to explore systems. I think it's really important to break down systems to see and understand how we got to the point where we are now. And once you do that, you'll have a better understanding of, why you're here, and you can move forward, take the necessary steps in order to break out of that system and kind of just hack it. You have to study the system to be able to hack it. Let's be real. Freelance work and creative work is not stable. It fluctuates, especially when you're first starting. It's hard to put a number on your work, and it's kind of all over the place, right? Real estate can be that hack to find that stability. Nobody is really telling us the real hacks to leverage their creative lifestyles. There's a lot of creative entrepreneurs that live a solid lifestyle, but they don't show us what they did to get there. A lot of these people that are successful in the creative industry more than likely have gotten into real estate and investing and things like that because the money is working for them. And that is what allows them to be able to show the world the creative parts of themselves, right? Going into the data, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, the median age of first-time homebuyers in 2021 was 34 years old, when in 1981, it was 31 years old. Also in 2024, the median age for first-time homebuyers in the U.S. was 38 compared to 31 in 1981. This is according to the U.S. Census Bureau and the National Association of Realtors. So that means that people are taking longer to buy homes, right? Now, why do we think that is? This is where we get into more data. The housing prices have skyrocketed completely. The Harvard Joint Center of Housing Studies reports that the median home prices in the U.S. have increased by more than 1,000% since the 1970s when adjusted for inflation. Now, that's a huge jump compared to the wages that people have now. Also, income growth has been really sluggish. The Federal Reserve data shows that median household income has increased only about 15% since 1965, while housing costs have risen more than 100%. So if you do the math, the system is trying to tell us that we're doomed, right? Like, it seems very impossible. And the numbers are there. It's become a little bit harder, but there are ways to overcome that. Also, the cost of living is also outpacing income growth. So again, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, consumer prices have increased over the past decades, and housing inflation has consistently outpaced just general inflation. Now, there's another topic too with students and student debt and the gig economy impact. The rise in student debt and freelance or contract work, where independent contractors, freelancers, This means that financial stability, like I said, comes later on for many. The Pew Research Center found that middle class income share has shrunk significantly since the 1970s, which adds a lot of pressure to our generation. So while homes are increasing significantly over time, the wages have been slowing down. So that's the main reason why we're feeling, a little bit behind. And that's the reason why we feel like homeownership is just not tangible for us right now, because we may feel too young, or we think that it's something for the future, right? But we're actually at the perfect age to do this. And that brings me into this next topic. The important truth here is that you are always exactly where you're meant to be. We are in the perfect time to start planting the seeds. The perfect time is not later. We always want to say, oh, we'll do that later. That's for something in the future. But once you catch yourself doing that, you start setting yourself back in a sense, because if you think about it now, that means that it's the perfect time to do it now, rather than, putting it off till later. We're going to start a cycle of procrastination. And also that's very common in our generation as well, because of social media. We have a lot of distractions and things like that. So just another reminder, if you think about it now, do it now. Just start planting the seeds now, whether you're just watching a video about home ownership or just certain topics. Start now. We are at the perfect time to do this. In the mid-20s and 30s, this is when we have the most energy. We have much more flexibility as well. Some of us don't have boyfriends, girlfriends, partners. We were not married. We don't have tied down commitments. So it's the perfect time to start working towards those long-term goals. And it's also a perfect time to take all of the risks that we can, because the younger you are, the more time that you have, obviously. So it's a perfect time to take the risks so that they can set you up for success later. Now, you don't want to be in your 40s, and some people are, and that's totally fine. I mean, everyone can start now. I think that's the main point that I'm trying to make here, is to start now. But you don't want to be in your 40s and barely getting started, because in your 20s and in your 30s, you felt like this was something for later, right? You don't want to have to barely start building your wealth at 40 while also, trying to catch up with what everyone else is, already doing and has already set themselves up for, right? The easiest and the most accessible way to start building passive income and to build generational wealth is through real estate. You can absolutely live the creative life that you want and also be locked in at the same time. You can be a creative freelancer, and you could also be person that is dedicated, committed, disciplined, and all of that. I feel like the creative world and then the disciplined world, I think a lot of people see it as opposites, but they actually work very well together. They're not opposites. They're perfect partners for whenever you want to start using real estate to leverage your lifestyle. I feel like there's a hidden sense that the creative life and your locked in life are opposites. Creative brings a lot of freedom, but then when you're locked in, you feel like it's limiting your freedom. But you can actually use both of them to leverage that creative lifestyle that you want to live freely. And they're perfect partners whenever you use real estate to leverage the freedom and leverage your lifestyle instead of limiting your lifestyle. Now, I've been emphasizing on compromising now so that you can win later. So we're going to get into that. The truth is, everything in life is a compromise. You don't have to have your dream home right now. In fact, I always recommend people who are buying their first home to buy a home that is smaller, a home that you can fix up yourself and then wait a couple years so that you can resell it and get that money in return plus some. The most important thing is getting in early and starting to build your equity through homeownership. Even with compromises on the location of the home and the size of the home, all of that doesn't matter. You're going to start building equity from the day that you purchase your first home. By compromising now, maybe buying a home outside of the city, which is realistic. I mean, come on, we're looking at the prices inside of the loop. They're skyrocketing tremendously. The compromise here would be buying a home outside of the loop, buying a home in an up and coming neighborhood, or just even buying a small house. You're planting your own seeds regardless, wherever it is that you buy, right? So over time, that equity can grow and give you the freedom to fund that creative life and just the future moves that you want to do. Your first home will not be your dream home. You're going to be using the first home to live in it for a little while, or rent it, or fix it up over time for some years while it builds its equity. Sometimes you don't even have to fix anything in the home. Just let it sit, live in it for X amount of time, and eventually just the work is doing itself. The prices and home values are going up over time, so you can sell it later and make money off of it, even if you haven't even paid it off yet either. That's another thing that a lot of people are not really aware of. I've had sellers call me and say, I want to sell my house, but I haven't paid it off yet. Do I have to pay it off before I could sell it? No, absolutely not. You don't have to do that. You don't have to pay off your debt or mortgage to be able to resell or make money off of that home. You ultimately will just get the difference of whatever you owe, and then whatever you make off of it is what's going to come to you. Real estate is all about timing and some compromise and a little bit of patience. So yeah, buying a home that is small in an up and coming area is probably key for your first home, so that it can be easier to sell in the future. It could build its equity faster than in other areas, and it's much more affordable as well. So remember, early bird gets the worm. Get into real estate now. The neighborhoods that are affordable today are often the ones that are the hottest in the future. For example, Second Ward, East End, Magnolia Park, all of those neighborhoods used to be very minority neighborhoods that were not poppin', that were not, sought out for by investors or by people with a lot of money that want to invest into homes. So now we see that those neighborhoods are being taken over by landlords and by all kinds of investors so that they could rent out those homes. And so that's a prime example of, getting in early and buying somewhere where eventually the neighborhood is going to be something that's going to leverage your income. So moving forward, like I said, get in now, because time is everything, especially at our age. I know that, like I said before, we may feel like we're still getting it together, we're still figuring things out, but the truth of the matter is everyone is still figuring it out. Even people who own multiple homes and that are landlords, they're still figuring it out. The only difference is that some people are planting seeds now while others are still waiting for the right time, right? So if you start now, even with small steps or even just small compromises, like letting go of certain distractions and budgeting better, you're giving yourself, your future self, a huge advantage. So yeah, waiting for everything to be perfect and waiting for that right time often means that we're going to be waiting too long, and then it's going to be too late in the future. Also, with the way that housing prices are, waiting can cost you big as well. Right now, prices are only going to go up, and it's always best to start now. Whenever you think of the idea, take action on it immediately. So now moving towards how creatives can qualify for a mortgage loan and leverage real estate, because I know that creatives Their money is all over the place sometimes and it's not consistent, but sometimes you might worry that your income isn't stable enough or you don't have a traditional W-2 job. There's so many different options for people like us. So there's FHA loans that require as little as 3.5% down. There's conventional loans that are from 5 to 10%. Plus, there's also many lenders that offer bank statement loans as well. So if you're receiving money through Zelle or through any other forms of payment, as long as you are depositing that money consistently into your bank account, you can use the bank statements as proof of income, and there's lenders that will approve you based on your bank statements. Also, if you're a recent graduate or if you're still in school and you're working, some lenders actually consider your college and university enrollment as a part of your employment history, especially if the job that you're working while in school is tied to the career that you're going to school for. This connection is going to show lenders that your income is a little bit more stable and it's likely to continue after graduation. So there's loans like that out there as well. So even if you're working a job while in school and it's not stable, lenders often find many opportunities for people in all kinds of different situations. There's also down payment assistance programs in Texas, which can cover a lot of the upfront costs and things like that. And also, I want to give you guys some ideas on how you can creatively leverage your home. You could live in one room, rent out the other. You could turn your home into a studio. You could turn the living room into a private studio or a workspace, which is going to save up on rental costs. You can rent out that studio to people to work in there or do shoots or whatever it may be. And then you can use all of that equity gained to fund your passion projects or your next big move or to pay off your mortgage. So again, your first home is just the foundation. It's not forever, but it's a starting point as well for building that wealth and that flexibility that you really are looking for as a creative. Now, before we finish, I want to ask some questions that are gonna maybe help you self-reflect when it comes to homeownership and maybe the reasons why you are holding off on exploring homeownership. So the first question is, what am I sacrificing long-term by staying comfortable short-term? Maybe it's the convenience of renting. Sometimes, just wanting to stay in a trendy part of town. That's all understandable because you're living a lifestyle in the city and everything is fast-paced and you don't want to just give that up, right? But every day and every year that you delay owning, you could be missing out on thousands and thousands of dollars in equity and also passive income and long-term opportunities as well, and long-term security as well. Short-term comfort often means long-term stagnation. So that's another constant reminder that I've been giving you guys throughout this podcast is sometimes we think that it's something for later, but it's now. Now, the second question is, am I saying no to buying because of facts or fears? Are you basing your opinion on what you've actually researched, or is it based on what someone else has told you? Because again, this is the reason why I'm doing this podcast, and this first podcast specifically is to expand your mind and give you ideas and help you understand that it's much easier than you think. I feel like we go based off of what other people are saying, what we see online about home ownership and things like that, but there's nothing better than to do your own research, plant the seeds now by putting yourself in rooms and in spaces that talk about these things so that you know what to ask, so that you know what to be curious about, and so that you learn about the topic. And that way it can become easier for you to become a homeowner. The main way to take action is we need to have that motivation, but in order to have that motivation, we need to learn about the process, because once we are very well aware of the whole process, it makes it easier, and we understand it, and we're like, okay, now I can, go into this knowing exactly what I'm doing. And it's motivating. So the third question is, could owning a home unlock more freedom for my creative hustle? And what would it mean to have an asset that funds my lifestyle? So, again, your lifestyle should not be funded by your labor. That's how burnout happens. And a lot of creatives, we deal with burnout all the time because we're always working, we're always hustling. This hustle culture is very real, and we're constantly on the go because we're trying to build a stable life while trying to live the lifestyle that is for our future. Your lifestyle should eventually be supported by your assets, which in this case, real estate could be that. Time is everything, and right now is the perfect time to start. Compromise now, level up later, and the early bird gets the worm always. So if you want help taking your first step, DM me, contact me, comment what questions you have. I'm here to help you better understand the process and give you different ideas and give you solutions to your problems now, and so that we can just build wealth together, because people in their 20s and 30s, I mean, what's next? If you have any questions, if you're curious about learning more, reach out to me. I'm here. And next episode, I will be going over the specific process of home ownership and things to look out for and upfront costs and all the different kinds of financing that there is available, and just all things starting your home ownership journey. So, yes, that concludes my very first podcast episode. I hope that you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.